My name is Abraham Great, and welcome to this platform today. Here on this platform, you will learn tips that will help you to connect the dots. These dots has the proclivity to move you into action. It is working. Today, I want to talk about how socialism can help developing countries, developing nations. So we have classification of different countries around the world. We have developed nation, or if I can say, there are some countries that are super developed. We have developing nations, we have developing nations, and we have underdeveloped nation. Now, I want to focus on the developing nation because the country of my birth, Nigeria, is one of the developing. In fact, Nigeria is also called emerging economy. Along with other countries like Brazil, Nigeria is said to be an emerging economy, albeit the rate of the growth of the economy was very sporadic, and at some point it was really happening, but at some point now it's slowed down again, and it's going to again catch up depending on economic policy in the country. But here is it. In most developing countries and in emerging economy, one big thing that they have in common is capitalism. And what that means, that the means of reproduction, the means of growing their economy thrives a lot on private sector, where individuals inject a lot of money, or a lot of initiatives, a lot of ideas, and people are entrepreneurs, business owners. So you have the country, most countries like Nigeria is hugely a capitalist country. As a matter of fact, recently I said on TV in Nigeria that it is very hard. If any Nigerian, if you're a Nigerian watching this, please comment comment downward if what I'm about to say is actually true. In that country, it's very difficult for you to actually have anything for free. It's very difficult as a Nigerian for you to see one thing that you get for free, either from the government, from the state. You've got to pay for your birth certificate. In most countries, you pay. You pay for your death certificate. In most countries, you pay. But the thing is that a lot of the time, what you are paying for, you do not even get value for it. I can also count, there's this thing that used to strike me. Among all the nations I've been to maybe close to 50 countries or so that I must have been to, in visiting. And one of the things that I see is that the only two places I can recall on top of my head straight away where you pay for trolley when you come into the country is only in Nigeria and then New York JFK Airport in America. Every other place you come out of the airport, things as easy as, the trolley. You ask yourself the question that what then if you have to pay for everything from the airport, you pay your way, you pay a ticket at the car park, which could be normal. What exactly? If you know anything that you get for free in that country, Nigeria, please put on the comment section, let me know. And the same thing goes for every developing country, that the leadership, the political leaders have to come to a point of creating a form of social program that creates a connectivity between government and the people. So in the case of most developing nations, a lot of them, particularly in Africa, as what you call natural resources. So I use the case study of Nigeria, for example. Again, Nigeria trades in crude oil. So as I'm recording this today, it is said that the price of crude oil is $90 per barrel. Now, you will see that, yes, with this income, if I also are correct, the last time I checked, Nigerian budget runs derives the revenue to run the Nigerian budget comes usually over 60% comes from the crude oil. So the revenue from the crude oil is what is servicing Nigeria. However, what you will get is this. Most of that income that the country gets goes into capital projects and recurrent expenditures. Capital projects like supposedly building roads, building infrastructure, building bridges, train systems, and recurrent expenditure like running the national assemblies, running the budget for federal capital, like the Aso Rock and many other things like that, among many things that are, there are money that have been allocated for other sectors like education and what have you. But when you look at the percentage that is going into capital projects and what have you, you will think that the country right now, not just from the revenue that is coming from crude oil or agriculture, the country needs to invest hugely into research and development, into education, and turn that into a complete social program. So how do I mean that? There's a little bit of that in the country, but the country actually needs to a very good sound that will make the Nigerian people to hail its government right now is to, I'll give you two examples. In Nigeria, education should be completely free. Completely. When I mean completely free, from primary school, deep down, and actually starting from nursery school, because Nigerian free education actually starts from primary 1. So Nigeria can actually create a system of nursery so that more mothers can easily go to work or go back to work after maybe 1.5 years, 2 years of having your children. So that from the age of 2.5, the children will be able to go to school, to nursery, and government can fund that. You have a lot of very resourceful, very well-educated mothers who actually want to contribute to the economy. But because they become mothers, sometimes it's very difficult and they pay dearly. Imagine the country providing top-class education from nursery level up until the end of secondary school completely free. Now, there will be an argument out there that, oh, Nigerian education is free and stuff like that. No. It's free, but in a lot of those cases, the children still have to buy a lot. They buy their own uniform, they buy this and that. The country makes so much in revenue that empathy can be expressed by giving some of this thing. If you will not give them uniform for free, maybe some of the textbooks should be available for free. A lot of the resources can be made available on the federal project. That will be a social program. So the second one, apart from giving the free education, will be to give free examination. So the second thing will be education. Number one, you can make the you can make the education free at our level. But number two, examinations. You see, at the primary level, sometimes you have to pay for, I think it's common entrance is called. That common entrance fee can be a social program that the federal government is giving to its people for free. Yeah, how much is it? When you look at how much it costs nationwide, in some cases, some of the political leaders are pocketing that kind of money through procurement at the, capital project level. It's called the national cake syndrome. Some of these can be something that empathy can be shown and say, you know what, we're scrapping parent paying for the common entrance fee. The second thing is that we have the junior WAEC and you have the senior WAEC, which is the, what is WAEC called, West Africa Senior Certificate or something like that, GCE. All of these exams can become free for you if you are a certain age. Maybe for up to the age of 21, you get them free so that once you are passing your school, the federal government actually, every student, as long as you are in a school from that age, the school registers you and, the government will pay for each child. This is how it runs in a developed country. Now, you cannot be a developing country forever. The difference between developing countries and developed country are some of these things that we're saying. When you put electricity and permanent electricity in most countries and you add socialism or at this level, or like I'm discussing now, you realize that you become a developed country. A developed country is the one that takes its people to heart. That is always, the government is run for the people, is owned by the people. It's not just belonging to or owned by the oligarch. In a developed country, there's a lot of empathy. How much would it cost if the cost of the secondary school examination is free for people? Another way that socialism can help is like in the case that I've said, it's been practiced in France, is in Germany, is in Canada, is in the UK hugely, is health. You see, when you give the people good health, now in Nigeria, we have how many local governments? 747 local governments. Ideally, and this is very practicable, there should be a world-class hospital, meaning minimum, and this is minimum. It means that every chairman local government, every local government area will have this project. In case our leaders in that country are not having vision, here's the vision you can own, you can run with, is that every local government, you give it, say, in the next 8 years, in the next 10 years, we want to be sure that every local government will build a state of the art, is a state of the art hospital, and you do a qualitative survey to find out what is the prevailing ailment in each region. So these local governments could be extremely focused on malaria, maternity. There will be a maternity ward. There will be a ward for everything, high surgery, no ENT and everything, but state of the art. That anywhere, any citizen is at par with any hospital anywhere in the world. The question is, the politicians may say and could say, and as always say, they can't afford that. But when you do a proper probe, through public information that are available, the amount of money that have been looted, the amount of money that have been embezzled, the amount of money that have been shared in the principle of the national cake, you realize that some of these projects are actually just peanuts. They're very practicable, they're very possible. And if you task yourself this way, not only do you build those hospitals, imagine making those hospitals free for all your citizens. Somebody will argue with me that UK can do it because UK is only 63 million people. It's not about the number in the population. I would also argue with you that UK has no natural resources. UK only depend on taxing its people. Everybody, both citizens and immigrants in the country, pay their taxes, and proper management of this resource is what is providing all of these things. But when we make it a culture to at least give something back to the community, now that every damn thing in the country is costing every citizen, you realize that the quality of life will increase. You will also realize that through socialism, there will be bigger trust between the citizens and the government. Now, hear this. People will never be satisfied no matter what you give to them. You can be a completely socialist country before you know it, and there is you see, the temptation of socialism is that it is very easy for socialism to lead to communism. So if the government, God forbid, become porous and there's a military takeover or what have you, the government owns all of the parastatals that sustains people's life, it can then be regulated by them. They can decide that, they're shutting this area down, they're shutting that down, or they can tell people how to access this thing. But here, if I may end with this point, when you create social programs, there are so many other social programs that can be created for the benefits of the people. But when you create this social program, you hand them, they are government-owned entities, but they are privately run. So you can even make your homeland security to be privately run. You can make the health sectors. So the government builds it, but you give a contract. You say, okay, this hospital, each local government will give a contract. Say, you, this consultancy, this health consultancy will give you a 10-year contract, 20-year contract. And there will be terms and clauses of the memorandum of understanding between the government and the said consultancy, such that if there is this level of complaint from the masses, from the people, we are going to withdraw the contract to give it to people that can do it better. At this level of competition, you create a huge market. You create huge employment, but also, particularly when you make it free for the people, it will be a big deal in the country. And with the country operating at this way, there are other ways that the country can actually make money from all of those things that have been built. There will be car park facilities that is generating money per minute. There will be all other, that may be buildings inside of each that generate income. There could be so many. There are maybe other offices that are owned or rented by private doctors, and so many other ways that we could generate the money, or the money that was used to build the hospital in the first place. But not just that, to maintain paying for salary. All we just need is to have a heart for it, let alone creating many other programs for people that help people. Maybe they have this condition, for the disabled among us. Imagine every disabled in Nigeria to have access to free transportation. For example, that you go on the train, you go on certain level of buses, the government-owned buses, you do not have to pay any money. You have a freedom pass to travel to any part of the country. You know, these are social programs that can connect citizens with the country. Well, I'm just saying this, the focus has been on Nigeria, but it will apply for every developing nations around the world. There are intricacies to creating social programs, but where there is will, where there is consultation with the people, where there is survey and research, all of these things can be achieved. Well, my name is Abraham Great, and all I'm doing is just trying to connect the dots, and I hope you too can do something about the information that you've heard. Maybe you're in government, or maybe you are a relative or someone in government. These ideas will improve how we connect with our people. Well, follow me on social media, on Twitter, Abraham Great. On Instagram, I am Abraham Great. And right here, click here to subscribe for more videos from Abraham Great. It is working.